Hello traders and welcome to this week's trading setups breakdown video. In this one we're going to focus on EU because there were so many great opportunities to be taken this week, and as always I'm going to show you the trades that I took, the trades that I missed, the trades that I lost of course, and I'm going to point out some important lessons that I learned this week, and of course I share them with pleasure because you can extract from them, you can learn from them, and you can of course implement something into your trading plan that is going to make you a better trader. All right, so I really hope you're having an amazing week so far. Mine is great, but I'm kind of unhappy because a lot of money on the table was left from my side. I was traveling and I got sick in the middle of the week. I still am, and maybe you're gonna spot it in my voice as well. And but yeah, of course circumstances like this happen, so you have to learn to let go and of course recover, prepare, and come back focused next week. All right, and this is what I'm actually gonna do. So I hope you're excited about it. If you enjoy it, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, not to miss the future updates and videos that are incoming. And if you already did, let's see what do we have for this week. You have probably heard me say this numerous times before in all of my videos, but again, higher time frames are king. Okay, so the higher the time frame, the better, and the higher it is gonna prevail over the lower time frames. Okay, if you're trading the 1 minute, the 15 minute is gonna prevail. If you're trading the 15 minute, the hourly is gonna prevail. If you're trading the hourly, the 4 hourly is gonna prevail. All right, and there is always that step, and this is why we always do the top-down approach, top-down analysis, because we have to figure out where is actually the market going. What is the phase? What are the levels? Where are we potentially gonna go? And then we take that understanding and we transfer it onto the lower time frames. And this is basically how we flow with the markets. We can go short, long, trade the retracement, trade the continuation, and of course you just flow. And my biggest advice on this one is to focus on less than 3 pairs, preferably 2, and much better even 1. Because you really know, if I just ask you right now, right, what is the price of EU and what is the price action, you should just like have it in your mind. You should know where it is and what you can potentially expect for the days ahead. Okay, enough with my ramble. I want to first of all kind of give a little bit of a breakdown, a little top-down analysis. So basically on the weekly we have this push again. So what is the market doing right now, guys? It is pulling back. Where is it pulling back? Towards the 50%. Okay, because EU usually loves to pull back towards the 50%, and then from there it usually taps into some sort of supply area and then it reverses. Okay, and basically what I'm looking for is for this number to get tapped and then to potentially start looking for shorts. We can look for shorts from that level right here, or we can look for this one right there, which is basically the major higher low lower high formation, but of course we're too far from that, so let's not focus on it. Then dropping maybe on the daily to have a little bit a look at the daily. So what we have right there again is, let's follow the structure: lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, boom, break. So after this break, what are we doing? We're shifting to a bullish market. Okay, this is our first confirmation basically on the daily. So this is all we need, to be honest. From the daily, we just need this shift of structure and we're basically done and we're ready to trade. Okay, so a couple of weeks passed. Again, we shifted right there. There was a beautiful long opportunity right there, numerous long opportunities right here as well. But basically this week, where did we start? Is it the 22nd or the 21st? No, where did we start? Okay, 25th. I'm sorry, there it is. Let me drop it like that. Cool. So basically what we had in the previous week was really tricky because we had this little guy right there, that is demand, and what we also had is this big range. Okay, so what the market did, it tapped into 50% right here. Okay, tried to push, failed, pulled back again. Cool, let's try again. Tries to push, fails, then tries to push again, and then it just smashes to the downside. Okay, so this is where some of you guys might get confused and you can say, all right, this is a break of structure, we are going shorts. No. And you know why? Where is your major structure? What is the real swing? Well, for me, I also dropped them with highlighter like that. We started from here and we ended there. Okay, so whatever happens inside this range right there, whatever the market wants to do, it is just minor structure. It is inside this big range. So even if we come right here to retest the extremist point, and if it doesn't break, we're still bullish. Okay, and what we basically had is a push a very long pullback, a very long accumulation, and right now actually on the interest rate decision for the euro, the market is awaiting the news release, and we actually had the pump. Okay, so this is actually how the market operates, and EU loves to do that. It waits for some economic news releases, it just consolidates beforehand, and then it just decides to explode. Okay, and just right now we're having a break of structure right here. This happened on Thursday, and again we just have a new range, and we just complete that same process over and over again. Push, pullback, push, pullback, until again we tap into the weekly level right there, and then we potentially wait for the shift, which happened right there, something like this, but just the bearish scenario, and then we're gonna start shorting it. Okay, so this is my little take right here on this sort of structure. This was the major one, and we're actually gonna see where exactly the market retested that caused this big move to the upside. Okay, so let's start having a look at the opportunity. So my first trading day was on Monday. On Monday, I trade with lower risk usually, because again, it's a day that with my track record, it doesn't work amazing. I usually lose on Mondays, so I tend to trade with lower risk just to protect my capital. Okay, so let's examine what happened. I don't have my Asian range, but yeah, this one is not going to work because on Monday, okay, there it is. So basically, from the previous week, we faked this low, which made this a lower high. But then during Asia, we very strongly broke this high to the upside on the 15-minute, and we created a higher high. So what my immediate expectations were, I was like, all right, so we have pulled back into 50%. The market has went to retest. We are going for this high, 1.1670, and then potentially 1.17. Did we reach it? Not yet. Okay. So basically what I did then is we had a push. Same thing, I'm waiting for the pullback. The pullback occurs right there, so I jump to my entry time frame to look for an entry. And basically this is what I teach in my private program. We have a way to determine where exactly the market is going to react, and you can take an aggressive entry. So for example, on our occasion, it was this level right here. So as you can see, 50% is right there. You can take a trade from there, stop loss below, which is 2 pips, and then either target the highs right here, or maybe even target a new high, which would have been nice. But of course, it's Monday, so I wait for the market to show me the change of structure. Lower highs are being created. There is the lower low. What structure made the lower low? It's this lower high. We broke the lower high, so what I do is I set my order. Right here, stop loss below, right there. And guess what? The market did not trigger me in. It was possibly spread, it didn't tag me in, and then it actually ran for a very nice 1 to 7. I would have targeted right here, 1 to 6. So this is my first trade that I missed, and I was like, okay, cool. So then what I observed is that we broke the 15-minute structure. So if this right here was a kind of a lower high, we closed above it very strongly, and I was like, okay, cool. We're headed for the Asian high, and we're potentially gonna make a new 4-hourly high. Okay. So then what I simply did is I spotted the newly created 50-minute demand. And what I did this time is I was really trusting the setup this time. So I entered with my aggressive entry, which was right there that I didn't take. I missed the long, and then I take the next one. Okay, so my first trade was executed from right there. Stop loss was a little bit bigger because I was like, okay, cool, let's maybe allow it a little bit more space because maybe it can come and retest that area that I was looking for the long. So I allowed a little bit of a stop loss, a bigger stop loss. But then as the market actually showed me the shift, a new high was created. I entered my original trade right there, and again allowed a slightly bigger stop loss as well. So the first one gave me a reaction, the second one gave me a nice reaction, but it failed to follow through. It failed to break above supply. And yeah, then it just actually dumped to the downside. And yeah, I was traveling. I wasn't really in the zone. I was just in the zone for these ones. This one was missed. This one was a loss. And then I wasn't here to take any shorts. So basically that was Monday for me. Okay. And again, this trade was massive, 1 to 7. This one was also a very nice. So around 14 hours to be banked on these ones. And then I landed on the losses, which is of course absolutely perfectly fine. No stress. So that was the Monday for me. Very simple and very nice. So let's have a look what happens on Tuesday. Okay, where is Tuesday? Let's plot it in right there. So yes, we still wait right here for our kind of discount range right there. And the market then very sharply pumped into the downside. So at that moment also, I was like, okay, then maybe we're really going short. Okay, so what I did is I took my range from the high to the low, and I waited for the market to go into 50% or into the supply area that is very close to the 50% in order to take a short. Okay, but of course, as I understand the market, I can take a long into the short and then potentially take the short. Okay, so what I did is I'm spotting this push. This little pullback is just one candle, but it's structure. Okay, not a very clear one, but it was a lower high, and then the 15-minute basically broke it right there. And this is happening in New York session from the previous day. Okay, then the market starts to build up some flat price, which is basically liquidity. Then the Asian session opens, it's very flat, we kind of consolidate, and then what we have on London open right there 9 o'clock is a very sharp pump into my demand. So at that moment I was ready to strike and to potentially ride the market into this area. So that was this is actually my most profitable trade this week, but I did a little mistake on it. So let me first explain what it is. So yeah, there is the very nice tap inside, but what happens is the market is still in supply market. So we have this massive pump lower, we have this pullback, but nothing was broken. The market just consolidated and flushed lower, pulled back, created a lower low. So then for me, this was a break because this is a lower high structure that made a lower low, and this was the major swing. Both were broken. And after this happened, I actually left home. I went to test myself for COVID because I was gonna travel back to my home country. And yeah, basically the market broke and I was into the lab, and as I opened the chart, those two candles have already printed right there. The reaction was nice. So what I did is I just set a limit right here, but I did not have my magic key. So I was like, okay, what is my usual risk? And I was just so like my last trade or something, and I entered a random risk, and it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So the risk on this one was very low. I'm not sure what, but it was very low. And yeah, I was basically got into the trade from right there. Very nice reaction to the upside, a high, and I think that was around 4R right there. So I missed this one, and basically because I was kind of walking as well outside, and I was just constantly checking the phone, and then I was seeing this pullback, and I was starting to get stressed, and I was like, man, we are in a downtrend. The Asian high was broken. Maybe we're about to reverse, but I kind of kept it in. I just dropped my range from the low to the high. The market tapped into 50%, started to pump higher, pulled back, and then as it started to pump higher right here and broke above this high, I took my profits right there, which was basically for 4.5 or maybe a little bit less than 4.5, something right here. So this was basically my trade that did not give me a big return because my lot size was wrong. Okay. If I was at home, I would have looked to take this long, which wouldn't have been triggered, and then potentially this one. So what we have right there is the market comes inside, pulls back, breaks structure. What is the demand that broke structure? It's this one. So there is your long trade right there. Take it into that supply area. Then I come back home around this time right there, and I'm like, cool. So we are into our supply area. The DXY is also looking really good. So I am looking for my patterns. And the thing that I didn't like about this one is on the 10-minute, we were still pretty bullish. So as you can see, we have the range, the market created a sell, buy, broke structure. So I really wanted to see this candle broken before I engage into any longs. And this is why you see this big blue area right there. This is a 10-minute demand level. What happened is we faked the highs, we started to push lower, we tap into demand, react, and then we have this buy that took this little bit of flat price action, and then we just flushed to the downside. And after I saw this, I was all in. I was like, yes, this is my trade. So I waited for the market to pull back into my entry zone, and then I took my trade from right there. Stop loss, again, I ensured a slightly bigger stop. Usually the average of my trades are from 2 to 3. Usually 2.8, 2.5, sometimes 3.5. It really depends, okay? And then the market gave me a really nice reaction. But what I spotted was that if you remember this long trade that could have been taken, it also left demand. And I saw the market tap inside and really give a big reaction to the upside. Then the market pulled back, failed to break the low, responded from demand right there. And that little supply right there was broken. So after I saw actually this break right here, I went break even, and I was stopped out at break even on this trade. And then I was like, cool. But then my family arrived or something, and I went to do something else. And then I see this starting to happen. We had a fake above, pullback into demand, the market fails to continue higher. So basically, if you just follow the structure, push, pullback, higher low, higher high, higher low, we should have had a higher high. But what we had is a MSS formation, which is a shift of market structure, and we dropped lower and we also broke this one. I wanted to take that trade, but I wasn't fast enough because I just saw it break until I kind of get in, and I also wanted to enter from a little bit higher right there. I'm not sure why. I think I also wanted to keep, I think my first thoughts were to enter 50% from there and to keep my stop loss above this high. But then I was like, okay, cool. After this week formed, I said, if I have a little pullback right here, I'm going to take the trade. But no, it unfortunately went without me, this one. And eventually it basically went for a new lower low, which would have been the main target. Because if this is a lower high, remember we had this push, lower high, we should be expecting a lower low. And of course that could have been a lovely trade. So this one is 11R, this one is 10.5. And if I kept the trade, no break even, I wouldn't have been stopped out because my stop loss was right there. And of course this one could have been ran into the supply area for a nice 5.6. So as you can see, Tuesday was actually a pretty massive day. So I really hope some of you managed to capitalize on that day, and hopefully you learned something from all of this price, because it's all about flowing in the market and just doing the same things over and over again. Okay, so deleting everything right now and jumping on to Wednesday, when I was catching my flight and there were some very nice opportunities happening again. So let's check the hour just to build up some narrative again. So what we have is, there is our pullback from yesterday. Okay, there is our lower low. So we have a lower high. Lower high created right there. This is a lower low. So what we have is a downtrend. Let's pick the highlighter. There is a red thingy right there, and there is come on, man. Yeah, you get the point, but let's drop it like that. Lower high, lower low. What we wait for is for the market to pull back into the lower high, and of course take a short and target a new lower low. Okay, so what was really nice, let me just first of all drop this little, no, this is on the 15 minutes. No, I'm gonna take a look a little bit later in that. So basically the Asian range, you can see again, another thing to point out for you guys is spot the momentum that the market pushed lower and spot the momentum that it's pushing higher. See how nicely corrective it is. And then on London Open, you have a sharp move into the highs. This is basically manipulation. And then we continue with the overall direction. Okay. So this one, my whole community actually took it for me. This one, which was really nice. Basically, again, the market comes into this big supply area in an uptrend. Again, follow up, push, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Boom, break. This is a lower high. There is the lower low. I'm sorry, this is a lower low. There is actually the major lower low. There is our big range. Where does that range initiate from? From right here. There is that entry right there. So the entry would have been taken from here, or maybe a little bit lower, stop loss 3 or 2 point whatever. And then potentially the target goes into the lower low or just a little bit above it, which is what I like to do. Because if you target the low, sometimes the market is going to respect something like this and give you a big pullback. So always target a little bit higher and just make sure that you exit the trade. Okay, so that was a very simple 10-hour trade that I did not take. Okay, and then what happens is the market actually fails to break this low, goes all the way into the highs, and then we basically shift structure. So if I go to the 50-minute right now, you see how the market is basically ranging, but we keep finding those opportunities because we just flow with the market, right? So if this was a lower high that we wanted to take, it was broken. What did it left? It left demand. Where is the demand? It's down there. Okay, so if we drop to the 1 hour, to the 1 minute, there is a potential aggressive entry with the method that we use in the Fanatic team. You can enter it from right here. Usually this is your aggressive entry, stop loss below 2.5. Again, as I told you, the average on EU. And then of course, if you look for the shift, it was a little bit hard right there, but basically if this is your lower high, it got broken on this candle, then we pull back, then we had another break, and this would have been the trade, and possibly allow again a slightly bigger stop loss to account for all of these kind of flat lows right there. But basically, yes. And then what do you do is, because the market made the low, made the high, so already the daily range has happened. So what I always advise is to just try to look for TPs around the 50% of the whole range. Okay, what made sense to me is this one. this kind of lower high. So this is where that profit was taken for 6.3R, and this was for 8R. Okay, so those are trades that my team also took, but I was traveling home on that day. So again, you can see 10R right there, 10R right there, basically quite some R's this week on EU. It was absolutely lovely, and I feel slightly bit sad, to be extremely honest with my feelings is because I kind of missed out on all those trades. I made profit, so I should be grateful for that, but of course it could have been much better. Okay, so this is the ECB interest decision day right here, which is actually where the real move happened. Okay, and I want to give you a little bit of an insight right there. So remember what we spoke about in the beginning of this video is we had this big pump up, and everything right here is just complex correction until this low breaks and closes below. So what on that day, I was really sick actually. This was like the day when I was really sick after I got back home. What I went to examine right there is, okay, what has happened just before that low was created. So we had this break of structure, we had this little pullback, and we have this range right there. And after this range, the market just very strongly initiated outside, and we never pulled back right there. And we basically should have continued, but we never pulled back. So I spotted this one, and what I was examining is, have a look guys. So EU loves to do that when there is news. It likes to do a big choppiness, but you can see there are trades everywhere. Okay, and what we have right here is a bunch of orders, stop losses, sell stops, sell limits. Okay, everything is right there. And of course, what we have above is buy stops, sell stop losses, and whatever it is. So all of that consolidation was just building up for something. Okay, so basically what the market did is we also had a very nice Asian range. There is the Asian range. The market opens. First of all, it takes out the high to trick the buyers. Then it takes out the low, which is basically where I wanted to trade, but I was actually sleeping at that time, being very sick. So I actually came into the charts around these areas right there, and I was just spotting my pattern. And again, what we have is the same thing that I keep repeating, guys. The market is coming with a downtrend into the zone. We push, pull back, lower low. Okay, so where did that lower low get created? Right here. There is the break of that lower high. There is your entry, and this was a trade that actually a lot of my members took, and one of my guys also passed his funded challenge with this trade, and he even took profits very early right there for around, yeah, very little. Okay, so that was the first trade for Thursday. Very clear. Targets at the high right there, no more at the high, which is 10R. Okay, then we have the first news. We kind of spike below, spike above. Again, people are tricked. What the market does, it pulls back into this entry. But what I want to bring to your attention is that this low, so if we kept that trade open, it was never broken. Why? Because it's protected. Okay, this is where they actually launch their orders, the institutions or whatever it is, and they wanted to continue the price higher. Okay, so this is exactly where the news were happening. We had the lower low, pullback, failure to make a new low, which is basically your first sign of a potential shift. Supply reacted, got broken. We trade from this one because this right now becomes the higher low. Stop loss below 4 pips. Maybe if you can enlarge it a little bit. I personally would have used 4, right? And then you just run for the highs. All right, and this one ran. Where did it go, guys? It went into this high that we were targeting for quite some time, which is this one. Okay, so that one was a very nice and easy 20 R&R trade. There it is, right during the news. And of course, this one also ran for 30, not to say. And I wanted to take both trades, but I just wasn't feeling well. And then as this one was happening, it was news. And usually my plan says don't trade news, especially the interest rate decisions, because they tend to be very tricky, very volatile. And you can, of course, suffer from spread and slippage. Once I traded the Canadian interest rate decision and my account got lost like big time because my stop loss was not executed where it was supposed to be executed. So that was really painful. And since then, I do not trade interest rate decisions. Okay. And basically then what happens, guys, is we have a nice pump to the upside. This is today. What we have is, as I explained, a new range. What we want to do is trade into the lows. And this is basically 2 trades that were executed today. What we have is the market creating higher highs, higher lows. Where is the last higher low that is clear? It's this wick. Okay, this week was broken. The market shifted as well. Right there is our shift. Right there, we punched to the downside. What is the cause of that break of structure? It's this little range, this little supply. The market came inside the supply, and 2 trades that could have been taken right here. So again, there it is. The market approaches higher high, higher low, higher high. First signs of shift right there, and then we actually break this demand, and the trade should have been taken from right there, and potentially again stop loss goes above 2.5. If you kept a 3, you would have been safe, but knowing myself, possibly I would have kept it 2.5 or maybe 2.8 or something like this, just above the high. Maybe I did not take this trade though. And then what happens is the market kind of fails to break above this high really, and continues lower and breaks below this low right there. So creates a lower low. What caused this lower low? It's this again, this range that basically manipulated our stop loss. So the market is usually bound to return there, and there it is, the trade. I also missed this one. I was also lying, but right now I feel much better. So I was like, yeah man, you should make a video on this one because this week was just awesome. Okay, and basically the targets right now are going into this potential demand area or into the 50%. Okay, but of course 10R was already hit, so basically that would have been a very nice banger end of the week, but I wasn't involved. So all of those trades are journaled from my side. Lesson learned. I'm proud of my community because we executed together. A lot of people actually from my team passed funding challenges this week, which I'm really proud of. And very soon we're going to revamp the content with everything, with brand new stuff as well. So make sure that you check it out. If you watched up until now as well, you can message me for a little discount. I plan to do some giveaways very soon. I have an amazing idea for giveaways that I'm gonna announce with a little video. I'm just waiting right now to get a little bit better, and then I also have some other stuff to work on, some little side projects, and then from there we're gonna go all in. Okay, so guys, this is how I'm gonna wrap this up. I really hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, we had tons of R&R to bank on this week, so I really hope you managed to catch at least 2 or 3 of those opportunities. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, comment. I always love seeing your comments. Let me know if you want to see more. And yeah, looking forward to the weekly outlook and setups tomorrow. Stay tuned for that and have an amazing weekend ahead of you.